local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
And welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Roy Rehill's our guest. Roy is an author. He's done a lot of things in life, continues to do a lot of things in life, and we'll talk about some of that. But mostly we're going to talk about his books and his writing. And before we do any of that, though, we're going to say welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Last time you were here was, I'm not even going to try to guess when that was, but it was with Jay O'Hearn.
That's correct.
And you've teamed up with Jay over the years on a lot of projects, yes?
That's correct. Jay and I started with the first book in, I think, 2004. Mm-hmm. And we've sold about 10,000 copies of that book. That's the Adirondack Characters and Campfire Yarns.
Yeah, but somebody that doesn't know too much about publishing wouldn't be able to appreciate what an accomplishment 10,000 books is. That's an incredible accomplishment.
Well, and you know, we're fighting against a lot of entertainment media that's, you know, different than books. And so it's a little uphill, but what's interesting about history, and all of our books are history books, is the history doesn't change. History doesn't go away, and there are still many people that appreciate it, and people that like to have a book in their hands.
The term Adirondack whatever is a magical kind of a thing. Somebody told me once, I wish I could remember who it was, I'd give him credit for it, that if you put the word Adirondack in a book title, you're guaranteed X number of sales, because people just love to read about the Adirondacks.
I think it's certainly a niche. You know, the first book that I read, I think, as a teenager was Adirondack French Louis, and that just got me started. My dad used to take us up tent camping into the Adirondacks when I was a boy, and I think that's how a lot of us started that passion for the mountains, you know, little hikes up. Everybody's first hike up Bald Mountain, and you know, who was here before us? You know, who settled the place? What were the Indian stories like? You know, the first people here.
And now you live in Cleveland?
Cleveland, New York, on Oneida Lake, beautiful North Shore of Oneida Lake.
Yeah, and in fact, you're Oneida County legislator out there, are you not?
I am.
Yeah.
For I think going on 8 or 9 years now.
Mm-hmm. And then mayor, you were a mayor up there too.
Yeah.
Did you like it? Did you like elective office?
Well, it's public service. As mayor, I say that was the best non-paying job I ever had. Well, I think my salary was $1,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Cleveland's population, I think, is about the same now. Is around 700 people, about 300 households.
So it cost you a lot of money to be mayor then.
Well, I never planned on doing it. Somebody resigned, and so did they. They had some problems with some stuff. They didn't do something quite right. They probably should have done it a little different, and they resigned. And someone called me up kind of out of the blue and said, "Roy, would you be willing to be mayor?" And I'm like, "Why me?"
Yeah.
You know, well, you run a business and you pay your taxes on time.
Yeah.
So we think you're smart enough to do it.
Yeah.
So I thought I could fill in for about 6 months, and then after that, somebody ran against me and started calling me a crook and all this stuff. I'm like, I've only been here 5 months. I brought the first computer in. You know, I donated it to the village. We computerized the budget. You know, we lowered the taxes. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
7 years later, I was still mayor. So
good for you. Let's talk about writing. Adirondack Adventures, and this is a book, Bob Gillespie and Harvey Dunham on French Louis Trail. It's almost like a book within a book.
There's a lot going on in the book. It's part trail guide. It's part their journals from their first trips to the Adirondacks themselves, and that's how we got started on it. That we found these beautiful journals.
Where'd you find them?
We were a friend of Jay's. Cataldo was his last name, out of Glenfield. Had been helping Jay with some other research. He a very interesting fellow. And he said, you need to meet this woman who lives in number 4 in the summertime. He said she has some very interesting documents, both of us had been interested in Harvey Dunham, who wrote French Louis, because both of us started our interest, I think, I know for sure, me, but I know both of us started our interest in the Adirondacks by reading the book Adirondack French Louis, which came out in 1952, and written by Utica local Harvey Dunham. And he said that she had some interesting documents that related to Harv. And when we got to her house, we were introduced and we looked on her table, and she had these beautiful leather-bound photo albums with typed text underneath each photo. And the photos were blown up. Harv, being a graphic artist, they knew how to develop their own film. So they developed the photos in a large format and put them on a page. And obviously, when they were camping, the first journals are from the late 1800s, like 1895. That's Bob Gillespie's journals. And then Harv Dunham befriended Bob, and then they went on their first trip together that they recorded in 1919, and that was to the Beaver River area, where they took a train. They talk about getting on the train in Utica and riding up on the train. I think they brought a canoe with them and all their duffel in the pack baskets. Camping in 1919 is nothing like what we think about camping now.
Right.
Everything was canvas, cans, cans of dried dehydrated milk and tuna fish cans and flour to make their own pancakes and such. So those journals, we were both flabbergasted. So we had found hardly anything about Harv Dunham, but because Carolyn Malkin was Gillespie's granddaughter, she ended up with a set of not only these three beautiful photo albums, but also all the correspondence between Harv and Bob. Bob and Harv also bought camps along West Canada Creek and then later tried to rent them out. Unfortunately, Bob died in 1935. So they started their adventures together up there, and the book is really a story of Bob, who dies too young, and then the story of Harv, plus the trip journals and the maps. And their trips were just fantastic.
And when we come back, let's talk about who French Louis was. French Louis Seymour, right?
French Louis Seymour.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we come back. Roy Rahill's our guest. We're talking about the Adirondacks and his books. Short break, right back.